everybody. Welcome back to the Show and Tell Show with Penetanguishene Centennial Museum.
Hi.
And
Hi.
me, Nahani Bourne, and Genevieve over from Huronia Museum in Midland. And last week we were challenged, or actually we challenged Penetanguishene Centennial Museum to talk about things that people did to pass time because we're in the middle of a pandemic, stay-at-home order. We've all been at home, bringing our hobbies to new levels. So let's see what people did in the past and shared with our collection. So let's go first, Penetanguishene No, we go first because we challenged you. Genevieve, what do we have?
Okay. Well, when you talked about pastimes, I immediately thought of craft and the creation of decorative items. So if you think back to, to grade 7 history class, when your teacher talked about the fur trade and the exchange of European objects for furs, among the objects that your teacher told you about were blankets, glass beads, and copper pots. But what your teacher probably didn't tell you was oftentimes those copper pots were those copper pots were reused. They were used to make decorative items. They were cut up, and we've got, this is a piece of scrap, I guess. This edge here has been cut, and there, you can't see it on here, but there are score marks. So we've also got a ring, copper ring. This was made from the edge of the pot where the edge had been rolled. We've got a kind of a charm, I guess. It's 5-sided and it's got a little hole pierced in the top. And these were all recovered archaeologically at the Ossossane site. These are all made by the Wendat people before about 1642. This is what's called a tinkling cone. So you hang a bunch of these on your clothes and they tinkle. It makes a really nice noise, nice sound. This is a projectile point used for hunting, and they would also recycle every piece, every part of the pot. So the lugs, they've already got a hole pierced through them. The lug is the part that the handle attaches to on the side of the pot. It's like a piece of reinforced copper. Those were used for decorative items, and the handle itself was hammered flat and used as an awl. And don't forget, although these pieces here that we've got in our archaeological collection are covered in corrosion product, in the 17th century, the pots would be nice and shiny and attractive and eye-catching. So you got someone decorated with tinkling cones in a really bright, shiny copper. It was just really, really attractive. So those are my pastime items.
So that's like way back past time, like before 1642, middle of the longhouse in winter.
That's
Let's
right.
pass some time during a snowstorm kind of deal.
I would imagine any time would be a good time to make a decorative item, but who knows, bling yourself up.
Wow, very cool.
Oh, that's really, really neat. We don't have anything like that in our collection, and so it's really neat to see. I'm sure you have a lot of Wendat, artifacts.
Archaeological, yeah. One other thing I didn't bring is we have, it's on exhibit right now, but it's a sheet. It's about 10 centimeters long and about 4 centimeters high. And it's got a series of the projectile points inscribed or engraved in it. So they hadn't been cut yet. Someone discarded it or left it, lost it for whatever reason. And yeah, so that's really, really neat. So once the lockdown is ended, if you all want to come by and take a look at it, I'd be glad to show you.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay, we've lost Jan, but good thing Nicole has the artifact.
Yeah, so I don't know if you can tell what my artifact is, but it is right behind me. I guess when you started talking about your, the theme of this week, and of course I was thinking crafting as well, not as far back as what Genevieve was thinking. And I was thinking that quilting was a huge hobby that's been around for many years. It does trace back to medieval times. They were quilting back then, although I'm sure it was not a hobby. It was more about, sort of, well, I think it was still decorative, but also maybe to keep someone warm, because quilting basically is taking two pieces of cloth and putting them together with some kind of batting inside. And this quilt behind me was actually done in commemoration of the millennial. Remember the millennial when we went to 2000 and it was such a big deal? Thelma Marchand from the St. Anne's quilting group thought she wanted to bring together the quilting guild for St. Anne's to commemorate the millennial. And unfortunately, she did pass before this was completed, because it did take over 4 months. So this was sort of dedicated in her, but this quilt does have, it would be considered a piece of art or a commemorative quilt, because it's commemorating a certain time. And so we do have different sections that represent what they felt represented Penetanguishene. Over here, that is a trillium flower. On this side, it was painted on. So a couple of these patches were actually painted on. So this is the old fountain that we have on our main street.
Oh, yeah.
It was used for a person, for a horse, and for a dog. And if you have those, they still have it up there, but it's just, you just can't use it, but we still have it up there. In the middle is another painted piece of Penetanguishene Road, way back in the early 1800s, before there would have been anything there. We've got St. James on the Lions Church. This represents the old log St. Anne's Church that would have been built in 1828. And up top, we've got a bus. We do have something symbolizing it. Unfortunately, you can't see it. It does sort of represent the indigenous sort of beginning at the very top. So it was sort of a quilt of the time. And we know quilting, they have quilting bees. That used to be a social time, right? Where people would get together to make quilts. And that's what this was part of. But I'm sure right now everyone's working on hopefully a quilt. Hopefully someone is documenting COVID, with a quilt now. That would be quite interesting if they were.
So there'd be like squares with like toilet paper shortages.
Yes.
Bread is huge.
Made of masks.
Masks. I bet you somebody comes up with a mask. Like after this is all done, quilts made of mask. Yeah,
we'll be picking them up at garage sales.
I know, I was thinking about that.
Next year.
Yeah, think about it. Masks, you have to have at least 2-3 layers, right? So
yeah. That's awesome.
Putting those quilting skills to use. Oh,
there she's back.
You're back.
Just in time, Jan, to give us our challenge for next week. Because I just learned all about the quilt commemorating, the millennial change and Penetanguishene, and we heard about Thelma. So yeah, tell us, what's our challenge for next week?
Okay, so our challenge for next week is an artifact that was used by a researcher to share stories, in order to share stories with the community. So does that make sense?
Yep. Yes. So, okay. So like if somebody used a painting in our collection
that's right.
Or images. For a book. Okay. Yeah, because that's how people use museums too. A lot of people think that we're just like, come in and look what we have on the floor, but you can actually visit collection we have in storage. It's just a little, by appointment usually, or, special arrangement with us, because that's what we do, right?
Yeah.
Make it available, keep it available. Just sometimes it's a little harder to get at. Like those shoes from 1982 in the back of my closet. Okay.
Yes, please.
You need to wear them next week. We need to see them.
Okay, I will wear my shoes next week from 1982, Jan.
Okay.
All right, I shall show you my shoes from 1982. You'll be shocked. Okay. Okay, so that's the show and tell show for this week. Like I said, you can always send us a challenge, and we'll see everybody next week, same time, same channel.
Okay.
Bye.
All right. Bye again.
Bye.